Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you very much for coming here tonight. I know you could be doing a lot of other stuff, but it took time to come here. You knew we had a talk today, so I really appreciate you guys coming, and I promise I'm going to do my best to make this time as valuable as possible. As Fernanda said, we usually hold the questions to the end, but I'm okay if you feel the urge of saying something, or I'm okay with that. Okay? So, tonight, this talk that I'm going to have with you guys, it touches a very sensitive point. Because the important thing here is that I'm not going to judge absolutely anything or anybody or any attitude. The idea here is going to be from a spiritual aspect. What is happening? What's going on from that? So it's not like the social aspects or what caused someone to be, I cannot even say the word in English, but addicted to something, but addictions in general, what caused them, or if it's a social issue, a family issue, or attention. We're going to focus tonight on the spiritual part of all that. We know that probably some of you either know someone or was friend with someone or knows a family that has some family member that causes problems to everybody because of substance abuse. I have that on my circle of friends, family, things like this. And just like we all here, they're humans, and they're here, or we are all here to learn. We are here for our tests, to improve ourselves. And anyone that has this issue with addiction is just like we are here to learn. That's the first thing that we have to remember always. So, we know that addictions can hurt your body and can hurt people that love the person that has an addiction problem, their body and their minds and their spirits as well. If you take some time to try to speak to homeless people, basically roughly 98.5% of them got these guys into the streets because of addiction to any substance, usually alcohol or any type of other drug or something like this. The problem is the abuse. Those people, as we're gonna talk here, they ended up there starting because of this. So, I will talk about what could cause someone to start making use of drugs, whether it's pain, whether it's fear. If you look up on videos, you're gonna see a lot of people explaining that someone goes to drugs to run away from their problems, or from fear, or from pain. Not going to be the point of this talk tonight. We're going to talk about the spiritual level of all that. Okay? And we're going to focus more specifically on the addiction to chemical substances. And I include that even what people call marijuana as a natural. I'm going to put that as a substance. Okay? So there are other topics that we can talk about, addiction to gambling or sex or something like this. It's not going to be the topic for tonight's talk. We're going to focus on the addiction to substance. So this talk is a lot based on this book here called Diary of a Drug Addict. It was written by a medium called Kardec Newton in Switzerland. And this book is available here for sale on the back there. $13. We have in English and we have in Portuguese. We have in both languages. And that's a report from actually a spirit called Andre, just like me. And his journey from when he was born and what drove him into using drugs and what he found, what caused him to discarnate. So basically he was born in Europe, and he had a very hard life for, of course, European standards. His parents, not exactly, they did not like him very much. I'm not spoiling the book, you can read it. It's a very easy book to read. You know, you can read in 2 days or something, but it's very instructive. I really think it's worth the time spending. So he did not have a good relationship with their parents at all. His father basically saw him as a problem, and his mother tried not to see him as much of a problem. And so he met friends with similar type of problems, and those friends were already using drugs, and they came to them and, okay, you should, to get away from problems, start using, try this, and then try this again, to the point that he got addicted to drugs. And he started, of course, stealing money from his parents to be able to support his addiction. And then, all of a sudden, their parents said, you know what, we need a vacation. Their parents went on vacation for a month. Boom. Guess what happened when you leave a drug addict at home by himself? He overdosed. You know, so he overdosed, he gets to the spiritual road, and on the spiritual road, he gets there, and what's this? You know, he saw his body there, so he kind of understood that he died, and he still felt the urge. Okay, but he still need the drugs. He was a good person, he had problems with family, but he never hurt anyone other than himself, but he felt like he needed to consume the drugs of his choice. So, at the time that he let himself being rescued from that from the problem, he had a lot of trouble because he was trembling, and according to him, he felt like he could die, except that he was already dead. So that what made him, you know, think, okay, I can do it. You know, I can rescue. So once recovered, he was authorized to tell his story on this book. This book was written in 1995. No, actually, yes, in 1995 he started dictating this book here. And he wrote this book, and after that he started working, of course, with spirits that reached the spiritual plane in a situation similar to this. So, here in English, we have some definitions of addictions as a strong and harmful need to regularly have something, such a drug, or do something. As again, so you can be addicted to drugs or to some kind of behavior. The definition is the compulsive need for and use of habit-forming substance, cigarettes, heroin, alcohol, characterized by tolerance and by well-defined psychological symptoms upon withdrawal, which means when you consume something, you stop and you have problems because you stopped, that means you were addicted to that. That could be caffeine, that could be nicotine, that could be sugar, that could be a lot of substances, and we go into the drug part of it. Or the other definition is a persistent compulsive use of a substance known by the user to be harmful. So the three definitions, they are different, but we can use any of them to define when someone is addicted to something. Okay? But in English, sometimes I had problems because my native language, Portuguese, the word vício is much more similar to vices than to addiction. And then I would think, oh, someone is vicious, which has nothing to do with addiction. You know? So I have a vice. What kind of vice? So I looked it up to understand what would be the difference between them. So vice is more a bad or immoral habit. Okay, so would be you know, like a selfishness, proudness, that's vices. You're always late. That's a very bad behavior that you have. You gossip. That's, you know, more. It's not that you're addicted to gossiping. That's a vice that you have. Corruption. That's a vice. Smoking public places, not caring about anyone. That's a very bad behavior. You're addicted to the cigarette, but the addiction. So the best definition that I got was addiction is one of the bad habits. So addiction is one vice. And vice is also defined as a weakness or a defect. If you go to the origin, to the root of these words. So tonight, even though they are connected, we're gonna focus more on the addiction aspect, which is one of the vices that we can have. They are related. So several things that we talk tonight, they can apply also to vices as well, but not only. So, for my point to, for this talk to make sense, I just want to remember something that we learned while we are studying the Spiritist book. The three things that we have that makes ourselves be what we are, what incarnated. The physical body, that's the vehicle that we have for our spirit to incarnate here on earth. We have the spirit, and finally we have what connects both of them. So the body is the material being, analogous to the animals, animated by the same vital principle. The soul, or immaterial being, that's a spirit incarnated in the body. And the link which unites the soul and the body and the principal intermediary between matter and spirit. This link, or perispirit, which unites the body and the spirit, is a sort of semi-material envelope. So, after we discarnate, according to what the spirit tells us, we look very much the same as we look now. It's not like, oh, I discarnated, now I am someone else. No, we're going to look very much. So what the other spirits see is not exactly your spirit already, but your perispirit. The perispirit gives form to your body, but once you're incarnated, it's the other way around. Whatever you do to your body is going to come to your perispirit, and that's how it's going to reach your spirit. So that definition is on the Spirit's book, on the introduction, on the part 5 of the introduction. Okay? So, I guess most of you guys that are here, I've seen before, even the people that are not here, if you're familiar with Spiritism, we use the term perispirit quite often, quite a lot. And that's because that's, let's say, the most, from the spirit, the part that is more similar to the flesh, and from our bodies, the part that is more similar to the spirit. Okay? So we're going to focus a lot on the perispirits on this talk here. Why? So, when you say that someone has addictions problems, and say that the person is chemically dependent on consuming drugs or something like this, that's not exactly the cause. According to what Spiritism teaches, the addiction comes from the spirit. The spirit, when it's incarnated, already has the tendency of succumbing to the addiction. Already has that personality. People say you have an addictive personality, so that thing already comes with you. So the spirit is the one that feels the need to consume and take drugs, and is the one that feels the need to repeat that consumption. It is a spirit. But what does the spirit have? What tool does the spirit have to satisfy that urge? The body. Right? So the addiction comes from the spirit. Once the spirit keeps suggesting continuously for the body that you have to take the substance, sure enough, the spirit makes the body become chemically dependent. So if you remember a lot of things that we read, most of our illness, they start on the spirit. And then the body gets that. So you have to treat the body, of course, but you don't treat the roots of what caused the illness. That's going to keep coming back. It could be part of our reincarnatory plan, things like this, but everything starts with the spirit. That's the same thing with the addictions. The addiction starts with the spirit. The spirit has the urge. But since I am incarnated spirit, I can reach out for things, so I can take that substance and put inside of me. Once you do that repeatedly, now your body became dependent as well. Okay? So, how addictions hurt the spirit? What do we take from our physical life once we die? Once we die, we know we bury the physical body. The physical body stays here. Anything else we take? No, we don't. Anything that we put there on our casket is going to stay there, right? Once we die, our perispirit is free from the body. So, on the spirit, on the perispirit, we're going to take with us from this life our moral knowledge, everything that we learned, or for good or for bad. the good and bad characteristics that we acquired during this incarnation, all the experiences that we had, all the opportunities that we had to learn, and our vices and our addictions. So when we die, not necessarily, we no longer need those things. So, again, not here to judge anybody, but if you cannot go on your morning or your Starbucks latte, half almond, half coffee, or half decaf with almond, I don't know, things like that. I cannot even say all the names that they're putting there. I don't know, when you get there, I never saw like on Nosso Lar, Astral City, a Starbucks store, so you may be in trouble.
It's a coffee machine and it's going to be style.
I understand. So while you're incarnated, think about that. Talk to spirits, what they do up there. They're going to confirm. They don't have coffee up there. They have what?
Tea, herbal tea.
Herbal tea, yes, very subtle, but no caffeine. You know? So, once we die, the urge to feel the sensations brought by the consumption of addictive substance remain in the perispirit. So the title of this talk is Addictions and Vampirism. So that's where we are heading to. So how addictions hurt the spirit? On this chart, we can see this. Here we have our addictions while you're incarnated. Smoke, alcohol, prescription drugs, illegal drugs, narcotics, all that type of thing. Etherization of this substance to the perispirit. So let's think here for a second. The main thing that you're gonna get when you're consuming chemical substances, you're usually gonna get what? Sensations. You're gonna change your senses to feel, to sense things differently. So the spirits, that's pretty much what they have. They cannot exactly touch things, but they have their senses. They can sense things. So when you're consuming drugs, basically you are trying to boost the sensations. As you boost up your sensations on your body, you are burning that on your spirit as well. So the more you do that, the more that thing is going to be permanently recorded on your spirit. So as time passes by, the consequences are the intoxication and degradation of the perispirit. And more, the friends that are going to be around you to also have those sensations, they're going to start absorbing those sensations as well. They're going to get there. As a result, we're going to get to the point of vampirism and parasitism. So, an addicted spirit, let's talk about that. So, since the perispirit is molded throughout our incarnation, once we die, we know our vice and addictions, they're going to be with us. And then a new and bigger problem begins. Nowadays, if you are incarnated and you really have the urge to find some substance that you're addicted to it, all you have to do is to find the right dealer and buy it and take it. You have all the means to do that. Look, with that, have you ever seen like let's say marijuana cigarettes or anything floating around? No, right? So usually there's an incarnated spirit holding that thing. So we don't see like a discarnated spirit consuming those things. Otherwise, since we don't see the spirits, or if you have anyone here, there's a medium that can see spirits, you probably never saw one of them being able to light it up and take it, right? Okay, so we die. We still have the urge to feel those sensations. So the drug is just a way to feel the sensation. Oh man, what am I gonna do? I don't have matter anymore, so I died, I have the urge, I'm not capable of holding my things here. So what am I gonna do? Without matter, I am unable to access the material things that would feed that addiction. So how can an individual who no longer has a physical body satisfy his need for the sensations brought by the consumption of certain substances. So, in other talks that we had here, and when we studied the Gospel and the Spiritist book, we learned that here on earth, we can see the incarnated. You may have about 5 discarnated spirits, or each incarnated spirit here on the surface of earth. And they're even talking about other levels. Those are spirits just wandering around. Right? So they're going to be around us, they're going to be next to us, doing things that we probably already did when we discarnated some of our previous lives. So, what are they doing? Let's talk about this new concept called vampirism. Alright? So, the disembodied spirit or discarnated spirit, I put disembodied because discarnated was always asking me to change, like you have to put that on the dictionary. And this disembodied spirit will do what? Will connect to the incarnated spirits. Why? Because the sensation that that's incarnated spirits is through the body taken to the perispirit can be felt by another spirit. That transmission can happen. So let's think about thought. When I'm incarnated and I'm thinking, trying to send a message to someone right there. Here, I have my message, my thoughts, but then I have a huge skull and skin and bones and everything, so I try to go there, it stops here. It's very hard to reach there. They're going to find, again, skull, bones, everything. You have to train a lot to be able to send a message from a person to another, telepathy. On the spirits, that's part is already gone. A lot of spirits, the way they communicate is through telepathy. So, from a spirit, you connect to other spirits and feel the sensations. That's absolutely and completely possible. And that's pretty much how it works. So here we have a few pictures illustrating what's going to happen. So here we have one person smoking, and someone that was completely addicted to smoke, basically hugging that person to feel the sensation and feed that need that the person has as well. Here's another one of someone smoking. And again, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but the reality is, that's what happens. When you feel like you are the one that is smoking, that you have the urge to smoke, think again. That's the same thing about, for example, people that has to have the urge to drink alcoholic drinks a lot. If you read one of Andre Bastos' books, Sex and Destiny, Portuguese Sexo e Destino, was the last before penultimate book from his collection, the Nosso Lar collection. It has a very interesting story. One of the main characters, he was an alcoholic, and the book shows exactly 2 spirits that would do anything for that incarnated spirit to maintain his addiction to alcohol. And that means even making them keep their job. So they will have money to be able to buy alcohol, have the work, be stressed at work, so when they get home, I can have my whiskey, and that whiskey, the way they picture there, they show the spirit reaching out at the same time with the hand, making the incarnated spirits walk around, turn around, and then drink, celebrating. And that always shows that who was controlling that, just like a puppet, was a spirit, incarnated spirit. A spirit that on earth wasn't that bad, but once discarnated, he still needed that alcohol part. It's very interesting to read the book to see what happened after that. Yes?
So with sex is the same thing?
It could be, but I said right in the beginning, what I'm focusing tonight is on the addiction to substance, but vices and all the other addictions, they have very similar patterns. So,
what about vampirism happens with people that drinks all the time, or also with occasional people that use substance? Are they occasional substance abuser also exposed or not?
So you're talking about the social drinker,
right?
For instance, social drinker or someone that's socially gonna light up a cigarette or a cigar or something like this.
Exactly.
In this world, we all gonna do that. And so, let's think. Let's give an example. So I have nowadays everything is digital, but let's say that I have my antenna here, and then I use a dial, and I'm tuning to a specific station, radio station. So, oh yeah, listen to Bob FM, and I can reach there, and perfect connection. So I have perfect connection. As I start putting things around my antenna, I will not be able to tune up to Bob FM as perfectly as I could before. I may be able to tune in with maybe other radio stations, but that one now is no longer good. So you could put some bombril here or something there to try to improve, but when you don't have, let's say, the clean antenna anymore, that's going to change what you can tune. If you are an addicted person, that antenna is already completely contaminated. When you go and then you do, oh, just a social drink or this or that, remember, it could be you. It could not be you. Right? The sensation that that's going to bring is going to be up to you to look at yourself and see what that's going to cause you, why you want to do that. The more you feel the urge that you have to do that, I really have to do that, you have to think twice if it's really you that has to do that, or you're becoming an easy prey of someone that may come to you. Okay, this person is very good, only drinks socially. Yes, Thursday is also social. You know what? Wednesday is also social. It's one glass of wine a day. The same way as we do the gospel at home, that we say that every week on that specific day we're going to do that, we attract the right spirits for that. If every week, 8 p.m. Friday, I'm going to start drinking my wine, I'm going to light up my cigarette, that's not that harmful. But you may be open to attract people that are going to make use of that. But that's not the only thing that's going to bring spirits. That's what I'm saying. It's not like that's why I said I don't want to judge anybody. It's not like, you know what, you're going to spend a lot of time on umbral, you don't want to hell, right? Because you drink your wine every Friday. That's not the idea. But I always tell people to look at yourself and see and be honest to yourself to see if you're becoming a problem or a solution. You cannot tell anybody and say you are dependent, you are an alcoholic, or you are this or that. We don't have any way to do that. We are not inside that person. They may have the behavior, they may do all that, you may look and see, I really think this person is attracting a lot of bad spirits of this. We are not inside of them, it's not up to you to judge. The only person that may recognize that they have a problem is the person themselves. That one you may see, may point, you're going to only create problems. But if that person is already connected to all those spirits, they're going to do the best they can to maintain that addiction. And they can break up the family. So it's a very delicate subject, a very delicate way to do that. What we're focusing tonight is, once we know the person is addicted to it, that's the main focus that I'm having tonight. Because again, it's very delicate. It's very hard. If you see some of the church that you see out there, they say no alcohol and that's it. If you do that, okay, maybe clean up alcohol. What about gossiping? What about how much time that same person may spend looking? Look, she came to the church, but she's showing 3 fingers on her shoes. I'm not sure that that's the right attitude at all. And the type of energy that that person is emanating, maybe feeding someone else that addicted to gossip, you know, and the sensation. Everything comes back to sensation. When you're talking about someone, when you have addiction to gambling, when you have addiction to substance, it all comes back to sensation. Spirits can connect to you to feel the same sensation. It all goes back to that. So, it's very interesting when we go and read what the Spirit's book tells us about the word vampirism. It's interesting that nowadays it's so much out there on TV, on movies, Twilight movie, and TV shows all about vampires. I don't remember being young, you know, and seeing that many vampires history, and people say, no, but it's very interesting. Zombies? No, that was more zombies. Let's say 5 years ago was more vampires, but they're still going out there. So the classical definition of vampires as bloody suckers has a very deep meaning. So the blood, the way the blood works is when you breathe the oxygen gets to your blood and that's spread out throughout your body. The same thing, so if you smoke and you get the toxin, the nicotine, is that blood is going to take that to your brain and to everything and going to bring you the sensations. So the blood is a vehicle that is in your entire body from the top of the head to the toe. You have blood everywhere. What else do we have in our body everywhere? The perispirit, right? So the blood is the main connection between your perispirit and your incarnated body. So some of the definitions that I found was the blood is a symbol of the divine fluid on the physical plane here that we are right now, not airplane, the physical ground that we are right now. So on the book Missionaries of the Light from Andre Luis, one of his mentors is explaining to Andre Luis while they're analyzing a patient. Blood is the base element of the equilibrium of the perispiritual body or pre-existent form, according to the book. So when you say that, see on the TV, what the vampires are looking for? Blood. They're looking for life. They're reaching out for the pure spirit. So that's based on materialization. When you have someone coming here to suck the blood, when they bring to the spiritism, they will not, get their on their jugular and try to bite you, but they basically try to suck out the vitality directly from your pure spirit because they can't connect to our perispirit. So the blood is what our body uses to transfer the things from our material body to our perispirit. So when we do anything, when we eat, when we consume drugs, or when we do anything, how we put those things into our perispirit in a way that when we die, it's with us. The blood's the one who's going to do that. That's the means that we do that. So the blood sucking can be seen as a metaphor of absorbing our fluids. And I found this picture here. You probably guys cannot read, so I'm going to read for you guys. You can see someone here smoking. Here is the smoke coming out of it as another person. And the question, do you smoke? So do they. So think again. I'm not judging, but telling you that that's what happens. Exactly what happens. Nobody here can throw a rock. Say, oh, no, I never do that, no, I never did that. And even if I knew all that, maybe I could still do that. Because maybe that's part of my plan, right? Of our incarnation plan. So what's going to happen in vampirism is that the discarnated spirits will connect with the incarnated spirits as long as they can be supplied with those fluids, with those sensations, from the sensations caused to the incarnated by the addictive substance, which means I go, I take whatever substance that I want, I feel that thing, I'm not the only one feeling that thing. I'm going to have people around that has the urge, they were incarnated, they had the urge for that, they're going to be feeling the same thing. And the definition that I found strong and interesting is that they become spiritual slaves of addictions. When someone is recovered, they're going to go to another spirit until they get tired of that. That can take years and allow themselves to be rescued. Which is hard as when they're incarnated and they try to get disintoxicated, it's extremely hard. Discarnated is extremely hard as well. With the difference that you will not die of it because you're already there. So, on this book, here you can see one example of this. A lot of people, they were not bad during their life, but they had, oh no, but I have this problem, I'm addicted to that specific thing. I'm addicted to, I said coffee. Coffee is not as harmful as other substances that don't destroy your body. That doesn't make them bad people, right? As they discarnated, that need for the substance stays with them. So a very good person, just like my friend here, Andre here, that was a good spirit, but got addicted. His spirit already has the tendency, of course, but got addicted to drugs. When he discarnated, he said, I still need that. So I'm not saying that vampires are evil. They're spirits that they simply still have the need to consume what they used to consume when they were incarnated. So what they're going to do? they're gonna look around. Now they cannot be seen by the incarnated, but they can see all the incarnated, they can see, oh, this one here. Can be random, can be someone from the family that they already know that has addiction problems, and like this. They're gonna connect there and make, since they have the need, they're gonna do everything they can to make that incarnated spirit take whatever substance that spirit is in need. So, the question that we have to ask when we are consuming something, are we in control of ourselves? Really, you're not telling anybody but yourself. And again, we should not lie to ourselves because, you know, we cannot run away from ourselves. Can we really make use of something only socially? Are you sure that what you're doing is socially only? You will not get home and keep doing that, and next day you're going to do socially but by yourself, and so on and so forth. We are going to find excuses for our behaviors, right? Because the next question is going to be, is there a risk that we become vampired by someone? So, we must ask this question and we must be honest to ourselves. Nobody is going to, unless you ask for help, nobody's going to, should come and take that from you. Those are your lessons, those are our lessons, we have to go through them. So addiction will not hurt your current incarnation. Think about this. I'm addicted now, I burn that on my perispirit, I die. I'm vampirizing. I'm creating that for myself. Right? How many spirits did I help going broke? How many spirits did I help to have problems on their incarnation because of my addiction? So I'm discarnated, I know that you take something, I'm gonna be around you, I'm gonna make you feed my addiction, not only yours, but I made you and then addicted as well. You're done, I'm gonna go to the next, and I go to the next. So I'm creating debits as I'm discarnated. What chance I'm gonna have to pay that debt? I'm gonna reincarnate with a lot of debit, not from all the, let's say I have this incarnation now, not from this incarnation only, but also from the time between incarnations. So you incarnated now and having this problem may be hurting your next incarnation as well. Because you may also turn yourself, we may also turn ourselves into vampires between incarnations. So it's gonna hurt our next incarnation as well. So when you think about long-term investments, I would think that if we feel that we're getting addicted to something, let's solve it on this incarnation. As a lot of other things that we learn here. If you have an enemy, if you have someone that you know that doesn't like it, solve that problem now. Right? Same thing about what we're talking about here tonight. So, the reincarnation of a spirit that ended up on a state of vampirism because of all the debits that means that the spirit accumulated may come with physical limitations, so you will not be able to lose yourself again or to waste that reincarnation again. You may have some chronic diseases that will stop you from trying to take those drugs. You're going to take that addiction away from you because it's part of the reincarnatory plan for you not to fall again, to go down again. But you're going to have the inclination to vices and addiction. And by you, I always mean all of us, right? And the tendency of becoming an easy target for vampires because you have that weakness. We have that weakness already burned in ourselves. Okay? So, we have the problem. Let's say that we are already there, we already have the problem. How do we treat it now? How do we get out of that? So, the addiction starts with their spirits, but it ends up on the body, just like all of the weaknesses. So we generated that physical dependency on our body already. Our body needs that specific substance. So we're gonna need a very intense medical care for our body. But that's, again, that's one of the symptoms, not only the root cause. So the medical treatment is gonna help restoring the damaged organs and cells that we have destroyed with those substances. And it should help fighting the physical dependency. Those are like the nicotine patches that you put here. Should help us fight the need for that, right? But since we're here and we're talking about the root cause of the problems that had the consequence, we have to heal the spirit. So, I have seen very successful cases of people that went to the spirit center, brought someone that was addicted and had the will to improve, that failed a few times and solved their problems. The same way as you see people that go to jail and they are addicted to something, they become extremely religious in jail. That kept them away from going back to their addictions and vices. All the religions that we see out there, they always have a way to be the spiritual support for the people that are addicted to substances to recover themselves. So you have to have the spiritual support for doing that. As a spiritist, what we offer is a spiritual treatment. So your center of power, your chakras, are all out of balance because of what we caused. So you're gonna have to have a lot of passes, mediumistic treatment to help balancing that. Gospel at home. Let's keep the vampires away from our house. Let's do every week, at a specific time, we're gonna attract the good spirits to protect our house. The more we do that, the more we get used to it. Just like we learned with Evelyn on meditation, it takes practice. The more we do, the better we get on that. We have to offer the fraternal assistance, fraternal talk. So if someone has to talk about it, we're gonna hear that. We can talk on a spirits group. We should be able to be ourselves and to talk about our problems, of course, with someone that's prepared for listening and for saying the right things. And volunteer work. That's something that keeps your minds out of your vice. So do something good to someone out there, to a child, to an elderly, to anything, to your children's school. Go there and do some volunteer work. Don't get paid for it. You're going to get paid in satisfaction. Again, you're bringing the sensations. You're replacing one sensation by another one. But by doing good things, we're going to burn that sensation of our spirit. Take that with us. So as part of any treatment, you have to work. I recommend doing the volunteer work. Keep yourself busy. And if needed, sessions, often Zoom sessions. We've seen several books that the only way that we found to cut that link between the spirit that's vampirizing someone, sometimes it's by a mediumistic session of Zoom session. I will not go into the technical details here. We have books about it, we have a talk about obsession and subsession, but that may be required on a treatment as spiritists. What if you're not exactly, not only spirited? Did any of you guys heard about the 12 steps program of the AA? Started Alcoholic Anonymous, and that evolved into several other things. So I heard about the 12 steps. Some of you guys know may know that I'm also a musician, so I love music. And I learned from someone that actually wrote a song from each one of those steps. The person went through addiction, very serious addiction, and decided, okay, I'm gonna be good now, I'm gonna treat myself. Was humble enough to go to the meetings and find the help that he needed there. Again, you need the support, not only medical treatment, but you need the spiritual support for that. So the 12 steps program, they go on the meetings and they all talk to you on first name basis, not last name. So even the people that wrote that, they call themselves Bill W. and Dr. Bob. That's it. If you'll see, they have the last names and everything, but for the program, that's who they are. So these are not the 12 steps. I just put 6 of them that summarize the 12 of them, which you're going to admit that you cannot control yourself. You cannot control someone else either. So you cannot control that, okay, I have this problem. I cannot control myself. I need help. So you have to assume that you have a problem. Recognize that a higher power can restore your sanity. In other words, you can call it God. You can call that universe. You can call that Mother Nature. You can call that your ancestors. You can call that your spiritual mentor or any name, but you gotta believe there's a higher power that's gonna help you. So the 12 steps brings you to the spirituality, to believe that a higher power is gonna help you to do that. You're gonna examine your past errors with the help of a sponsor, which is someone that already went through that, and you're gonna talk to that person and say, I did this, this, and that, and that person's gonna show you, I did that too, look how I am now. It's gonna show you that, yes, there is a way out. And this part that is very hard to do, making amends for these errors. Imagine that a spirit hurt, or a person hurt a family member, hurt someone because of the addiction. As part of the step, you gotta go there, knock, and apologize, and repent for whatever wrongdoings you did when you were under the addiction. And learning to live a completely new life with a new code of behavior. You don't have someone watching you out there, that's good only for yourself, but whatever you were doing before that led you to the addictive behavior, that has to be gone. Let's say that on the music scene or artistic or on the business, we watch movies out there about Wall Street, the Wolf of Wall Street. The guy was completely addicted to cocaine. So if he wants to treat, he cannot go back to that life because it triggered that behavior on him. So as part of the 12 steps program, you've got to learn a new life, different than what you did before. On that one, chances are you may fail again. And finally, the last step, that's when you start helping others who suffer from the same alcoholism or addictions or compulsions that you had. So as part of the 12 steps, the last step is for you to help. Start helping. That's how you finally cured. And when they say that's one day at a time, yes, it is. Someone that goes through all that, they have to wake up and say, today I will not do that. Because if you say, I will not do that for the rest of my life, that sounds almost impossible. But if you say, no, today I'm going to do that, that sounds very more feasible. So we're going to have to always think that way. So, some of the sources that I looked for, looking this, lots of Spiritist talks on YouTube channel in Portuguese. There is one called Espírita Doutrina. They don't call Mundo Maior. Very good talks about that. And if you look for Divaldo Pereira Franco talking about this subject, it's much better than what I did. It's amazing, of course. And on the Spirit's book, there's an entire chapter about vices and virtues, and that touches the subject of the addiction as well, and the vices as well. A book that goes there and shows a spirit, a patient with problems of addictions, and how that is reflected on the spiritual world, is Missionaries of the Light by André Luiz. And I also didn't put here the book that I just mentioned, Sex and Destiny. Okay, that one, interestingly enough, talks about addictions and talk about vices and behaviors. Addiction to sex, but also addiction to alcohol. And basically what happens when that spirit thinks that he's having all these ideas and all the ones that are around doing that, and the one that wants to help, they cannot get close, because that's what the spirit is tuned to, right? Resonance. Just like we had Marcelo talking a month ago, right? And the book, The 12 Steps of Recovery, is a very thin book. It's very easy to read. The book was written by UW and Dr. Bob. So, as we said before, we leave the questions and comments to the end. And with this, I say, let's stay out of them. As again, we're not judging anybody. We're not here to teach lessons and to say, I don't do that, guys. No, no. We all can do all that. The problem is when you study Spiritism and you learn everything that's happening in the background, you can get.